Hi, welcome to another video on my fischertechnik TXT walking robot Mirft2. Last time I found problems with the motors, but also with the front legs, because the motors seem to be too weak to propel this kind of legs. And last time I also reconstructed the front, so to give the legs something to work with in case of. However, everything stands or falls with the construction of the legs. Also, one thing that is acting up now is, as you can see, the rubber foot of this leg. So when I put this in place, it will most likely keep sliding, as you can see here, because the duct tape is completely torn. And if I turn the robot around a bit, this is torn here as well. So those forces are quite strong. An idea now is to add some legs to the leg. And this is 4, but what about 6? Now usually making 8 legs is easier, but I don't have that many parts. So I am going to try with a part equal to here to create a 6th leg, front leg. So what I may do, and let me adjust the camera a bit, is use these 60 degrees blocks and see how I can fit those legs on them. And like with all experiments, you have no idea what the outcome will be. I have to put a leg here as well. But then this is exactly the same. So let me keep it this way. And then, for example, and this is going to be a slight issue. The only way to do that is like this, and to do it like this. So when I slide this, you get like this, and this is not exactly what I intend, because what I want to do is a leg like somewhere around here, and then another one around here. So I need probably a much bigger center for here. Now I do have some parts, for instance this one, and when I want it like this, I should put this in, for example, this way. And then maybe some part here, but I have to try to construct something. With this construction, another problem pops up, namely that with this part connecting this in an angle and this part being directly on the square, you get unequal lengths of legs, and that is something that you don't want. So how do you get 6 legs in a circle of 360 degrees, which is a circle? The idea in itself is quite simple. 360 divided by 6 is 60 degrees. And while this is the most logical solution, because when I take one part out, all I have to do is slide this one in, and so on. And of course in the same direction. And although this looks like the ideal solution, let me finish this. So here I have the ideal solution with legs ends much closer to each other. However, there's an axis, and here I can't fix an axis. And then this part comes along. So how to do that is a very good question. The thing I think I should do is put 3 there on this side and 3 here somehow on the other side. So just a wild idea. Let me check. Will this hold? Probably not. But it's an idea of 6 legs around an axis. So with this somewhat crazy idea, let me just check, although I suspect that this will happen very soon. And of course I don't want that to happen. And this is slightly with an offset. Anyway, let's just try it. There's no knowing without trying. And yes, then there's the problem of these two. How do I fit those in? I probably won't. Nope, I won't. So that is another problem. So although a nice idea, this one won't fix. Not the same way this does. So some more ideas to be found out, and that easy it comes apart as well. So there's little force needed for this. Apart from that, I need to check the motors. So let's check the motors, and I will lift the front, start the program. What does it do? Does it do anything at all? And that is not much. So, time to check the connections again. This is the motor. Battery. So, what about turning it upside down? And see for wires. These look like okay, and up here they look like okay. But they are clearly not. So let me find out this way. Is something moving, yes or no? Not even the tiniest movement. And this is a problem, and a big one. The only thing I can do right now is checking with RoboPro, and I remember I did it last time with the result that it worked, and very nicely at that. So the question is, why does my Python code not work, and why does RoboPro do work? The idea behind it is that I did not change my code in any way for quite a while. So I need to have a thought on that. Let me just do one thing. I'll completely log off and log on again, in the vain hope that that will solve at least a problem. Alright, off goes the interface. It's shutting down. That's it. Activating again. And it takes a little bit of time. Ready, set, and go. Starting the Python program again. Camera action is working, but I don't mind about that right now. And nothing works. So, time to try to solve that. So, with RoboPro on a different computer, which doesn't matter because the Mirft2 robot is accessible from my network. So, what I have to do is make sure that the interface is well selected, which is here the case. Then I select the test, and that is a motoric test. The motors are on ports 1 and 2, if I'm completely correct. So I just put this on. No, I have to use motor, and it's now on stop. I put it on clockwise, counterclockwise, which works perfectly. The only thing that goes wrong is that the gear directly attached to the motor gear is slipping completely. And that works for a moment. And I understand why it only works momentarily, because the metal axis is blocking the whole thing. So let's try again. And I hope you can hear in my headset that the motor is working perfectly. And this is the other way, of course. Then time to check for the second motor. And you hear that it works. And the other way, it works just as great. And here you see the counter pulses. So with this test once again, it shows that electrically everything is in perfect order. The motor works. It runs on battery power. Everything works fine. Do they work at the same time? Also a good question. So I say counterclockwise and counterclockwise, and both work great. Do they work the other side? Yes, both work. So there is nothing wrong in this test. Remains the question, if this works, why doesn't Python work anymore? So I'm going back, and I have to keep in mind to close this interface test, because otherwise I cannot let my Python work. So yeah, back to other computer with Python. So now it has clearly been proven that the motor and interface work via RoboPro. All I can do is getting back into the code and see if there is just maybe something wrong. I hope not. But I cannot explain this from at this moment. And it is not a very big program, so that should be easy. Here I instantiate the motors. Then I set the distance. I set the speed, and here of course I set it to 400 meters, and I did not update the distance here, which is still at 50. At 50 is comparably nothing. I end the synchronized run of the motors. Yeah, I start them again, but I don't use them. So let me just comment them out. This one has no use at all. So with that little change, let's try again. I doubt that it is the solution, but you'll never know until you try. So holding it in my hands again, what happens? Except for the usual sound, nothing happens. Alright. I have put the set speed. That could be it. In the past I had an issue with this as well. So let me change this back to 1000. Although it worked at 1024. Okay, testing again at 1000. And lo and behold, at 1000 the motors work. So apparently there is a problem with 2024. Let me change them to 23. What happens then? Did I save? Well, now anyway. Let me try. Yes, they work. They work fantastically. So, anyway,
that riddle is solved. Which leads me to go back to the setup of the motors. No, the setup of the legs, of course. So, let's go. Let me get back to the 6 armed leg, or whatever you want to call it. I decided to have another run at this one. So let's just see how things evolve. No guarantees at all. And there it happens again, if you can see this, because the iron axis is completely shifted in. And this is holding back completely. So what if I do it like this? Shifting this one in. As you can see, hopefully, let me take it closer. The black one is now shifted here in, which means that I can push the metal one out here. So let's try that. There you go. So with this given, let's give this a try. No idea what exactly will happen. Oh, and of course a clamp on it, and let's just see. What was that? I'm not quite sure what this result is. Not quite sure at all. Let me take the rubber feet from this one and put it underneath here, and then see again what happens, if anything at all. Not really. So the rubber feet is now here. Should I put this rubber foot I should say, which is right here, on this one? I might just do. And Let's just put it here. See whatever happens. No. Interesting. This has too much weight on it anyway, for as far as I can see it right now. So although a nice idea, I think the better chance is to put a leg like this on the other side as well. Let's see if that gives any improvement. But I'll leave that to next time. So for now, what did I do? I changed the speed of the motors, so it works in Python again, although remarkable is that I didn't get an error message. And I did try to change the legs, or one of them anyway. So, thank you for watching. If you like my videos, please consider allowing ads to run, and otherwise see my website for more support ideas. And this one is to be continued.